No, man. Good evening to all our viewers and welcome to yet another edition of the Connect for Culture podcast with me, yours truly, Patrick Sentongo. And today, I am glad to introduce yet another show that is one to deal with journalists, but ones that cover the area of entertainment, arts, culture, and the entire creative industry. Ladies and gentlemen, with me to do this senior arts and culture reporters from the biggest media houses in Uganda. And to start it from the extreme right, if that is Mr. Regan Sempija, senior reporter at the New Vision. Next to him is Nathan at Luke. We should find a Chiganda name from the central here for you so that you... So ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Nathan from the Observer newspaper. Mm-hmm. And of course, Andrew Kagwamayiga, whose face is very familiar with the people in the arts and culture industry. He's reported a lot about events and so much about art in Uganda. The extreme end, Isaac Sejombwe, also senior writer. For most of you that read the Scoop magazine, the entertainment home and the Daily Monitor. The gentleman right here, Mr. Isaac Sejombwe. So before we kickstart it, I would just love each of you to say hi to the viewers before we can kick it off.
Hello to the viewers. We are happy to be here for this amazing show.
Yeah.
We hope it will shape narratives and conversations in the arts. Yeah, happy to be here.
Hello everyone. I'm very glad to be here and I hope to continue with more engagement of like in such moments.
Hey, what's up? Yeah, okay, that's not formal. But yeah, it's good to be here. Let's get the conversation rolling.
Okwawukana mukone n'abakulunze kanjogere mu Luganda twesimye okubeera wano era katusubire mwina bingi ebyokuyiga mu conversations.
Okay. Abatulaba, our dear viewers, don't be so surprised. These are writers mostly. So if you see them not being the vibrant, of course, apart from Kagwa, who is, you can understand they are mostly writers. So to kick it off, guys, the industry is a little bit, it's a roller coaster of things happening.
Yeah.
First things first, for this week, or this weekend that we are moving into, it's a very silent one. Tewali events, if we could start it from there, what is happening to the events scene? Okubanti, like in Jan, we had events whereby a day could have like 3 events going on.
We had three concerts in January.
And then here we are, you know, kids have been taken back to school. People, we want to assume that people were even broke in Jan. Here we are, March, an entire weekend, Tewali Chiriwo.
Okwawukanako naawe, the events happening.
Okay.
Though some people think events at Cricket Oval
Are the
are the events that are happening. No, there's an event happening tomorrow at National Theatre. Dr. Hilary Okello has a comedy show.
True. Friday at the National
yes.
Theatre.
So events are happening. There are plays happening at National Theatre as well.
True.
Andrew has
his own
yeah,
show,
yeah.
a one man.
No, there is a festival that's going on.
at Zenson at Space.
Zenson at Space, Afropop Scene, and Alliance Française.
Alliance
That's
Française.
Obulogwafe.
Obulogwafe Festival.
Yeah, Obulogwafe Festival.
I think even they're continuing on Saturday with the same event.
Yeah.
So I think on the same page, ngabo tuwadde tugambye nti yes, there are events happening. What makes some of the events stand out? Nebanga event egenda bange happening, but then it's like everywhere. And some other events, because when we talk about Obulogwafe Festival, it's a festival in its totality. But ideally, yes, we know about it because we are in these art spaces. Is it that some events that do not blow out in terms of being known, is it that they target a certain kind of audience that is totally different from the main audience? What brings about that?
Uganda has its own Chidandari culture.
You just say Uganda is generally tailored around music.
Yeah, not just music, but we have our Chidandali culture where it must be loud for people to like it. Like I've seen theater that people gravitate to because of the people that are in and even the way it's marketed. Abe Kampala, omwana wamwe aze, like bavayo nnyo ne bakibukira. But when you look at say for instance obulo bwaffe, where there is an art exhibition, there is film, ate film za mu luzungu, nti abantu betusinga okulangira wano ayijjukira nti wano ekivulu kyo kimaking a much noise because of the people that are part of it in form of sponsors. Wano abantu abasinga okulanga, because it's a conversation I also had yesterday when we screened Kafako at Obulo Wafe. Someone asked me, why is it that when filmmakers are screening their films, they do not get sponsors like artists do? And I had to tell him the difference between sponsors in Uganda and probably Kenya or Rwanda. In Rwanda, it's easy to find Spotify being one of the sponsors. It's easy to find Google being a sponsor in Kenya. What these people are looking for is not people to consume their things. When you come to Uganda, your sponsors are selling something. They're either selling beer or they're trying to get many people to use their service.
Telecom
companies and the likes. What that does is that you're always going to get sponsors that want to sell, not sponsors that are interested
in your event.
In your events and your art.
Okay.
So when you're dealing like that, it means art is really a bit silent, is really laid back. Tegenda funa abantu bangi nga bagisponsoringa, cause kati owabbiya bw'abeera atunulira volumes z'anaatunda atunulira abali mu firimu
Cricket Oval.
kati watina Cricket Oval nti bwe muggulawo, cause shows zano zitandika ssaawa 4 naye ziggulawo saa 9.
True.
Like the venue is open saa 9, but nga omuyimbi agenda okujja ku stage okusooka ajja kujja ssaawa 4 ez'ekiro. So there is that whole nga bali mu kunywa, volumes zipilinga, targets za sponsors ziri mu kubeera ki zibeera hit. Bw'ogamba nti oyenda kulaga film, abantu abasinga okujja okulaba film bajja mu budde obwa film, ate you need to be alert to watch the film to the end. So togenda kunywa oba bw'oba onaanywa ojja kunywayo kamu.
Sponsor, you're still about the issue of events happening. There are people who used to be ardent attendees of these shows that happen. Abamu batuuka, they got frustrated. Because of course of very many reasons, in the recent past becoming the offers. For someone to go there, are very insecure because of the few fights that erupted within artists. But then also in terms of organization, abantu ambagamba ebivulu byafuuka a little bit monotonous in a way. But organizers tebalina that much to offer.
There is no value for money.
Yeah.
Okukisaminga up. Kyogedde nti why would I pay, let's say 150,000 to come to an event nga kyengenda okufunamu si kyembadde nsuubira kukitegera. Nja kuwa example ya VIP experiences, because that's where people pay much more money. They pay between 300 to 5 million. Omuntu ajja kusasula sente ezajje ku kivulu nga talina wakutuula kukitegera. Waba afunyewo okutuula ku table ye tekuli drinks, wekubaako drinks bajja muteerako akacupa ka soda kamu oba ne bu popcorn kitegera. Asasudde $3 oba $5 kitegera. Ate besides that nga ne setting ya area gyatuddemu talaba bulungi stage, talaba bulungi muyimbi ki, oba bw'aba ali kumpi nga mu maaso ge abantu abalala we bayimiridde. So experience eyo
manyi n'okuyimirira ku butebe
Regan, I believe obaddeko ku bivulu ebibeera both mu outdoor in spaces like Cricket Oval. then nebirala bibeera indo nga ku Serena. If you could paint a picture or a contrast of what ideally would attract the different kinds of audiences, what happens if you could just paint a picture ku event ezibeera indoor nezibeera outdoor, of course in terms of organization, what can be done better, what usually transpires?
Okay, so first of all, the way indoor concerts is really shaped to one. And of course we don't have so many venues. Okay, venues are there. And
is it up to standard?
There are not so many venues that we use when it comes to indoor. But also there's a narrative in indoor shows. Zina, each they're expensive, they are of a higher class, high end and all that. So that alone, Chinengi some amount to come for, a show like that. Yet I think for outdoor events, Zili a bit all inclusive. Someone feels free to come for the show. Some of them are not very expensive because I think even the venues themselves, some of them they're really very expensive. So someone feels but a bit.
Yeah, you've hinted on something around scarcity of venues. Andrew, I believe you were recently in Kigali for one of the shows of an international star. What chiche tuwaki ngawan? Well, I think let's also briefly discuss this. The question of venues. Tuyina bitini tebiri ku standard, what needs to be done? But first of all, talk about one, the venue. Show ye Kigali.
Okay. When I've been to Kigali for international concerts twice, Ogambye tulina venues
Ntini tezimala oba teziri up to standard.
Venues tetulina venue.
Lugogo yiyo.
No, Lugogo Cricket, it's called Lugogo Cricket Oval. It belongs to the Cricket Uganda Council of Sports.
Yes.
It's a sports facility.
Kampala Serena is the conference center of the hotel.
Yes.
So the artists.
The same way we'll see Sheraton Gardens. That's a
Hospitality.
So we're talking about art of entertainment in a national theatre and nayo.
Yes.
Okay. So
maybe La Bonita.
Yeah.
So if let's talk venues in the arts.
But
what
anyway,
has to be done?
Just to take you back on the two shows I've attended in Kigali. One, I believe we have people that can produce international shows, but support system teriwo eri background tugezaako okwekolera buli kimu ate kati nga ffe nga Uganda nga bwe nasoose ne ngamba nti we have a kidandali culture. One, bajja kugamba you buy your ticket before gwe n'otuuka ku venue n'oga nze ne ssente zange bagambye buy your ticket ne bakuwa ne link ne bagamba buy your ticket. Wali bannayuganda bangi abatravelinga for John Legend. I don't know why many didn't travel for Kendrick Lamar in 2023, but many traveled for John Legend, and mba nfulumaawo nga twesingsingana
Abana Uganda abamu.
nga kati abamu nga bamanyi nga nakulaba ku TV bambi mugende mugambe ba promoters, this is what we want. Naye nga when they say this is what we want, bayite bategeeza nti baagala John Legend Uganda gwebeleeta
Beetaagayo international
bagamba
Professionalism
eyo. And I can give you an example. One Munnayuganda yaŋŋamba nti yajja yasasula tiketi ye mu December ne bamuweereza link ne bamubulira wagenda otuula ne bamuweereza ne tiketi ye online.
So you're talking about the system.
The system. Bw'atuuka e Kigali kyamutwalira eddakiika 5 okuvaawo ku gate okuverifyinga tiketi ye paka okutuuka wayina otuula.
Kifo kye yali already amanyi.
Kifo kye already kye yali amanyi ate n'akisanga nga weekiri wano mu Uganda bw'osasula.
What's the name of the space ewali share?
Bagiyita Arena. BK Arena.
Roughly etuuza abantu nga bameka?
Etuuza abantu 1,000 nga gumu, but when it's a concert, since wano ground webazanyira basketball nawo wabeerawo abantu erabika eyingira mugumu nga biri awo.
Tusobola gigeraageranya na venue ki e Kampala wano oba mu Uganda?
Muki?
In terms of space,
In
but then
terms of
also
space.
Also the setup nti wano stage wegenda abantu batulabe bati this is how comfortable they are. If you could just break down.
Oyagala vuma Uganda oba?
In other words, omusajja gate wali gyosobola
Oyagala gigeraageranya naki?
Kati wano si kye twetaaga okukola. What needs to be done?
Oh, man.
Like you said, the system.
Yeah,
Needs to be.
the system, but naffe ffennyini tulina okweorganizinga because mulimu ebintu nga byo tetujja biblaminga ku concert scene yaffe. For instance, lwaki bwe tugenda ku concert mu Uganda tulaawa awantu awo woolina ofunira tiketi yo ne bagisazaamu ne bakuwa riboni, like lwaki tulwawo nyaawo?
Omuntu noba nga wasasudde VIP table n'otuukayo nga bagitutte olina tomanyi nawe akuddukira.
So tulina okwetereza ffe nga ffe abategeka ebivulu.
I think we need to get an independent, day separate oluli where we can digest the topic around
But
events.
one last thing I can tell you about that, when that concert, that venue was nearly empty. Sawa emu. That venue was nearly empty. Saa ziba ziwera awo ebbiri abantu ne batandika okujja.
Ekigali tewaliyo bino bya ssaawa mukaaga
Biri kitundu awo. Omuyimbi asooka n'ajja ku stage. Saa ziba ziwera 5 nga wabula eddakiika 5 okwera essaawa 5 John Legend n'ava ku stage. Sho neggwa. Kyatwala eddakiika nga 2 abantu bonna okufuluma venue mu ddakiika nga 10 nga venue bamaze ogirongoosa nga batandise ogitegeka for another event.
Guys, waliwo kye bayita behavior change. Which I think will take us ages. Because there are things we're too normalizing the one. This is the normal. It's okay.
Ugandan standard.
It's okay to even, and this encompasses
Organizers,
venue owners, even the fans themselves.
Yeah,
The fan always like, it's okay, ticket njagisa muli yangu. Osange
akavuyo.
But there's a platform gye bateeka ku ticket, you can go quicket.com oba kishona and get your tickets. You get like what Kagwa has been trying to explain. I also tried to access that platform for John Legend's concert. It was very, very seamless and very easy to use. Ngekulaga buli kimu, seat number, new position ya nekati wano. Try and picture that on any show wano.
But to add on Kagwa and Andrew's Julian's statement, remember that time when you had the press conference of Nava, you had this conversation with Kenneth Mbai, and where he said Ugandans won't adopt this system. It will take ages for them to adopt to the system of tickets, because it doesn't cost you anything if the artist has announced that today is my show and I've quick sell tickets online. You can buy the ticket.
Beera nayo.
God, I think Oguma on that very day, the disorganization that is there on that day is completely.
So there needs to be one promoter. Ayina okusooka okujja nakkiriza to take it on. Akikole nga ku Serena awo. Agambe buno obudde between now and this date is when you have to acquire your ticket.
Kankubuza ekibuzo.
Yes.
Promoter ngani?
Nga alibaye. Oba Sabavuru Balamu.
Patrick,
Oba Yes, sir.
these promoters, why they would not do that to Ogambi?
They want to maximize.
Exactly. Promoter tajja kubanga yakatunda ticket 10. Ayagala emitwalo 10 muga upload.
So the problem is big.
Gye nawulira ne Kampala bagatamu tables ezi
Bazongeramu nnyo.
ng'enkya ye concert
Bazongeramu
ne bayongeramu
Guys,
tables.
we need an independent show where we can digest matters, events. Last year, generally, the media, you guys, and other colleagues in practice bagamba nti the year 2024, I think just like 2023 was musically tewali plan. We are just 2-3 months into 2025. If we are to just assess, because it's a week or two all about to end March, and the first quarter of 2025 will be done, and you see the start of the year paints a picture of how it will go musically. I want to pick from you guys, how is 2025 so far musically, before we can dive into Jose Chameleon being away and probably the effect of his being away also musically.
I think the year 2025 has started off just as the other years. I've not seen anything different.
Katugwe mu 2025 tonalaba olubiri.
Sinalaba ochipya because it is the same old story. Start omuntu atandika ne concert.
But I think last year around March, around the same time, twalinawo oluyimba lwa Masavu. So this year waliwo lwetutunuulidde lwe tugamba nti this.
Contrary to Regan, I'm so hopeful. Tugenda kubeerawo negundi. Already tulinawo hints. Songs Avenue has 3 songs from 3 different artists. One, okitegeera. Bebe Cool is releasing
Isaac. Ku Swans ogambye ennyimba
I think I know oluyimba
baluyita batya.
Lindako okumbuza ennyimba.
That's also new song.
Yes, lutambula ku challenge.
Lutambula.
It's a promising song.
Elijah has a song.
Azawi has a song.
Azawi has a song. Okitegeera. Aina ne Dax Vibes.
Okay.
Okitegeera. Nti tulinawo abayimbi bali busy. Siga nti no basirise.
Okay. So from you, Isaac, olaba omwaka is promising better.
Yes, at least better than last year.
Last year started off more vibrant. Than this year.
This year, to me, I think I'll rhyme with Isaac. Though we started off this year in a ruckus way.
Omwaka gagwerako mbuvuyo bivulu abantu balwana. Alien.
Palaso alina ennyimba mmeka this year? Just this year. Ziringa 10.
Ziringa 10 naye tuweeyo title ya
along the way, we have had good concerts. I say A-Pass and Nava Grey.
Yeah.
Good concerts. Maybe
because Geoffrey Lutaya had a very good concert.
I wasn't there, but I'm talking about the concert that I watched.
Okay.
So, being their first time to host their concerts, it was good. But musically, Bebe Cool has some good song, Motivation. Our piece, promising. I think we're on the right track.
Okay,
the only good thing so far that is happening in music concerts, a few of the concerts that opened the year, I saw something, I don't know about you guys, there's something different in terms of production. Shoya
A-Pass.
Shoya Nava, Ragadi. I think even Ragadi, I think is a show we tubale tuludo kufuna sound.
Setting a pace. It was intention. For A-Pass's show, it was intention.
A-Pass was intention.
Flew in someone.
And that is what.
So should the credit go to the artist or the production company?
The artist, because it comes from the artist himself.
The production guys as well, because artists are so prepared. Ne team jakola nayo nga they don't align well.
And kati artist ya choosing a team jakola nayo. So credit to the artist.
Concert ya A-Pass 12 ya kola tabifina. Yeye yogera. Concert ya ndala
That is the difference about his concert. Production.
So invested in a lot, even to bring that.
He took part in the curation of his concert.
Everything was there.
Okay. His concert was a statement because A-Pass Ayogera knew.
So he had to prove.
He had to prove something. Though anyway, to just disagree with you guys, because Mugambi, like the year started Bulungi, like when I'm here trying to look at the songs you guys are listening to, is the singers are last year. That's from the daily top 100 on YouTube. The weeklies on YouTube, and even the most trending as the singers are last year.
So looking at the statistics, much of the music being listened to is music from last year.
But I think that's another topic again, because if you look at how Ugandan artists produce their music, they release a song, say in December or in November, and that song plays or brings him or her into the new year to take him for a couple of months.
Okay.
Listenership y'Abannayuganda ekwewuunyisa. Was it 2 years back when Spotify, when Love You Every Day was among the top listened to songs
outside Uganda?
Yeah. We are talking about a song that is like 8-9 years ago.
Well, talking about Love You Every Day, let's talk about Bebe Cool. He's been a little bit silent musically, not until last year when he came out and said he's gonna revolutionize for the second time, I want to believe, because not once, twice he said early 2000s he revolutionized the industry. So the second revolution of his coming, he says he wants to change the game, he wants to, and of course he's outed, soon he will be releasing his concert, his album and 2 songs are already off the album. Let us just digest the 2 songs, Circumference and Motivation. Were you guys motivated after you were circumferenced?
I haven't listened so much to Motivation, but
it has been around for long.
Yeah, I haven't given.
What do you mean for long, Andrew?
Not that long, Andrew. But I have not. But Circumference, Narulira. It's a very good song. The song was affected by Olimbo Kutambula. Were affected by the artist. What do I mean? Nti bebe abantu bamuyinako
yes. And I think he loves it that way.
Yes. Chimukolera sana. Ate buli lwajja n'apika ekintu.
Babagala omuproving and see what chiri.
So that sort of covered how good the song is.
But I also think the song came out at a time very many things were happening in the industry. Because if you remember, Olimbo Lwafuluma, at a time Chameleon yali again Dr. Circumference, Chameleon waliwo story ya mutabani we. But even before, nakulwata, I think a day before, lwakola press conference, Chameleon we bali mu bedride gundi yali bedridden. Nakasero kati around amazobuta akoze press conference and all that, yakola press conference announcing the release. Chameleon ali bedridden. Chameleon bamutwala be atolu yimba. And now remember bano bali ku same footing. If you know their history, omanyi how we basibanga babinkana. Kati Chameleon Bebe Cool atolu yimba. And Chameleon yali no mutabani betwala ku social media. That was also a very big story. Kati nga mutokability one, how Bebe for me I think he had envisioned it. Amazimanga.
And then
wale mwa ku digital one ku social media. Ebintu bingi byalo yingi.
A lot of things.
And I think people tebalu one time.
Moso ku family y'Abamayanja. Family y'Abamayanja like ayitwala omwezi mulamba
because Impalaso yalimu awo.
Impalaso nayingiramu like ebintu byabawo bingi. But then of course even Bebe Cool himself happened, because you know nga bwomanyi
he had to come into play.
Every end of year he comes with the Bebe Cool list. Which at times I feel most of the times covering enyimba zaba yakareleasing awo. Because waliwo olimba releasing olali mu Zuwena mu video. Ya releasing era mu December ate na releasing a list.
Very nice. What do I tell only you?
Only you. Ya releasing as it was starting to move. Nakola Bebe Cool list, abantu abukira Bebe Cool list olimba ne barelabira. So I feel like
naye kati ezo zali mu revolution nkadde. Njagala twogere ku kino because you see Bebe Cool was very clear. Yagamba he's changing the narrative. aligezaako bali abasajja betulaba betugamba nti bakikuba ne bagenda ne babawa emitwalo emeka ebweru eyo. He wants to do the same. He wants to set the pace. He wants to change the narrative. With the two songs, Motivation and Circumference, has Bebe Cool reached a certain percentage in achieving his initial dream?
No,
He hasn't.
I disagree.
Because this album has more than 10 songs. We cannot judge him with only 2 songs.
But the two songs can also speak in light, because I mean there is a reason as to why they were the first 2 songs to be released off the album.
What exactly does he mean when he says he wants to
Change the narrative?
Yes.
What he means is,
with this particular album? What exactly? does he mean?
One, I think what he wants to say is it's our time to break into that cycle,
To break the
barriers.
into that market with the South Africans and Nigerians. That's what he's pushing in this album.
a church caller with a background where he notes that there was a time when Uganda was looked at as the big deal musically. You are the next in line to just blow up, and somewhere I don't know
Actually,
how it
Uganda was technically the first in line. Nigeria was the first because of their strategic location and everything.
The numbers and all those things.
Because to tell you the truth, like Uganda was one of the first country that wasn't South Africa, where MTV Base was launched. Like MTV Base was launched in South Africa, and the next location was Uganda. And that's how Navio and Two-Face got to do Ruckus, the remix. That's the first time Two-Face sees Chameleon and he believes Onogainga star.
But I also believe part of the music that was released, Ugandan music at the time, if you listen to music that the Blue Threes did at the time, if you listen to music like Frisky, if you listen to the Micros, the Navio and the group, if you listen to that music, it was also quite urban for I think the audience we actually want to get back to now.
Obvious reasons. It was urban for okay, maybe not obvious but specific reasons.
Yes.
The people who were in production at the time had enough exposure to push us in that direction. Steve Ginn at the time had just come back from
the US.
So he had that kind of exposure and he shaped that narrative.
N'abayimbi abaliwo at the time.
So you had a little later you had Eddie Ngoni who
Alan Okias,
they had started good enough.
Yes, good enough. Eddie was in the middle of that. Ngaina background in sound engineering again from the US. But Guy Abaliwo at the time, Bali technically equipped to push us in that direction.
And very passionate.
Very passionate.
But my question.
Of course, the other thing you're missing in there is our role. Like even the media at that time was awake. Like there were real music schedulers. Because I think what got us where we are right now, I think the role of the music scheduler was somehow lost, and then presenters started bringing in their own artists.
Chiri Isaac yatugambye off air what happened to Grace Nachimera at the time.
And then the influence nechuka nedda nembaga abakola drive. Then radios nestanko kwagala playing ekiri mu club. Twakiwulidde mu club.
Ekiri ku ground.
Because trust me, there are some, like I think everyone here is familiar with the song called Mboko.
That was 2007.
That song did not play on any radio station.
But it was
one of the biggest songs.
It was one of the biggest songs. Yet today, there are songs that are playing that make Mboko look like a gospel song. Like,
and on the other side, they're actually on mainstream media.
They're on mainstream media.
Like, so I think that's where we lost it from. So does Bebe does he own a valid cause? And if he does, how far will it go? Is he the right person, or with everything he's doing to change the narrative, or to get back the industry to the rightful lane, like he says? How far, as per the two projects, or the album in its totality, as he says that he will be releasing it, followed by a concert. Plus, I want us to talk about Joshua Baraka in the same lane, because amid the releases and all that, section of people on social media were saying what Bebe Cool wants to do, Joshua is trying to do, and is a fresh guy. We are just capitalizing on the few contacts he has to try to change, the narrative of the music and where we need to go.
I think it should be more than Bebe Cool and Joshua Baraka. It should be a joint effort. The industry comprises of very many artists, but those that are deliberate at what they want are very few. Artists these days come into the industry for fame, and for some quick money. Money to buy a car, money to build a mansion,
to get girls, to get women,
to get women.
You see, the things you're talking about are things we also want. Like we want money. But okay, one thing, there are people that come into the industry to just take a selfie.
Exactly. You should be deliberate with what you want.
Yes.
Right? If you want to go international, put an effort in your craft to go international.
Yes.
So I think, yes, Bebe Cool might be international, but anyway, it takes one step to walk 1,000 miles. So you never know what the future holds.
Given the years that have passed, times have gone by. He's no longer the younger Bebe who he was 15 years ago. He also has more responsibilities. Today he sits on a certain board in the industry.
You say that board. Why are you saying a certain board? You know that board.
Today he sits on the UNCC board. Today he's in 2 other private businesses. He's a family man. He's doing quite a lot. He's a grandfather. Given all those factors, does he still have the momentum, the vibe, and the energy?
One thing I know about Bebe Cool is when he puts his mind to something, he always wants to achieve that thing. Yes, he might have exaggerated the amount of money he has invested in this album.
Yes.
But truth is, he has invested in this what?
He has
invested in this album.
When you say that, when he puts his focus on something, reminds me of the album he did, Go Mama, coming out around the same time nearing the 2016 elections. Happens to be we are also nearing the 2026 elections 10 years later. We know Bebe Cool, is actually, it is going to lead us to our next conversation, politics, music and politics. But before that, times it is coming off like history might repeat itself. Bebe Cool is a strong card of the NRM, and we are nearing politics. 2016, around the same time before the elections, he had a very beautiful album. The one I actually believe was going to change the narrative he's talking about today.
It had to change the narrative.
So with this cause that he's having today, given the factors at play of the politics, won't he again lose track? Because for me, I believe that album, part of it was the politics.
The album was lost after politics.
Yeah. If you could.
Like when you talk about Go Mama, like trust me, Go Mama was the perfect time. I believe right now he can try to do it. It's just that it's going to be harder. Because you see,
it's going to be harder to break the chains.
Yeah, it's going to be harder to break into that industry. With Go Mama, one MTV base wasn't like 90% Nigerian, it was like 70%. Like you could still find a Ugandan song on there. At the moment you can still find it there, but it's like an eclipse. You literally have to watch MTV base for a full day to catch one Ugandan song, which wasn't the case then. But at that time...
But is MTV base still a big deal?
No, I'm just giving it as an example.
Okay.
And then at that time, Nigerians were still more open to collaborating with other people. At the moment, they know their value. They charge a lot of money to collaborate with people, and then when they collaborate with you, they do not promote anything. Like, they just do it and then they leave it for you. And they are not even interested in collaborating with us. Like, every one of them wants to collaborate with Americans. So that's why I'm like, in 2014, I believe it would have been way, way easier than it is going to be now. But my belief is, Bebe Cool is very influential when it comes to the young talents. Like, I wish what he has done Chameleon can do, because they are all still active artists. I wish Chameleon can do, because when you look at Bebe Cool and Chameleon, they've influenced many of our artists, at times negatively and positively. Because I think it's because of them that people are still fighting each other, because it kind of worked for them.
Yeah.
And today people still believe if I get into the industry, I need to find a person to fight, and it will somehow work for me. Like most of the mistakes Chameleon made have been made by literally every promising artist that comes out of Uganda, because they know, like, he made those mistakes, but he's still the biggest artist today. So if they make this one right thing where they all try to become international, trust me, maybe you will see King Sir trying to do something different because of that influence.
Why I think, sorry to cut you, Nathan, why I think it may be easy for him this time around than it was easier than it was in 2016. I think politically, because that is what sort of took his attention at the time.
Yes.
Politically now, Bebe Cool has been replaced by Eddie Kenzo. So now you get a feeling like that he's not really focusing so much
On the political.
he's not as engaged as he was a few years ago. Now, of course, he will appear on some of the rallies here and there, but I think he's giving his music more time now than maybe he was a few years ago. I don't know if he's going to do for every other song, but Ruimba,
Ajado time.
I think for Circumference, he did a press conference. For Motivation, he had
motivation
a
session.
session at some, I think it was
BBC Africa.
Yeah. So I think, so you get a feeling.
He has a clear strategy.
Yes, he's more intentional now on music than, say, politics.
Yes.
So I think now the direction may be more clear.
Okay, speaking about.
I think Bebe Cool, he has a team now, really focused in those. Because when you have like a person like Bushington on board, you just know there's something now we are focusing.
I never strategist abavuga ekintu.
And to ride with Isaac and Kagwa and Rede, I think Bebe Cool and Joshua Baraka, we may have a good spotlight. Yeah, to penetrate the market.
Okay.
I have to, sorry, I know we pressed for time, but I want to laud Baraka for not allowing the media, part of the media, and the fans to shape where he wants to go.
Yeah, that's true.
Because
he's on his own script.
He's in control. You can tell that he's in control of whatever he's trying to do. He started out on stages like Jameson Hangout, events that you would not expect to get so much media coverage.
Yes.
But he stuck to that, and
He blew out
you
to
can
this
tell that
general
he's
audience.
growing in that trajectory.
Okay.
And probably maybe that's what for all the guys who have tried to go international. I think that is what they have lacked.
Yeah, sure.
Along the way,
They lose focus
yes,
along the way.
along the
They get diverted.
You get, so they sort of go back to what we have normalized as, you know.
I think because Kagwe have been together with the Lobster and Bishop Baraka, the way they have hustled together from the scratch to come up to where they are right now. I think Lobster is someone who really focuses or sticks on something that he wants. And I think together they have not had any fight whatsoever, but they have stuck on their message and they're still pulling it.
But you see, there is something that, you see, when Burna Boy released Twice as Taller, you know, he had been not Twice as Taller, African Giant. He had been working on that album for about 2 years. And then within that time, he started recording music for Twice as Taller, even before African Giant came out. So when African Giant came out, it wasn't so much of a hit at the beginning, but then it started picking up. And when he failed to win a Grammy, he wanted Twice as Taller to win a Grammy badly. So he removed some of the songs that could have been big hits in Nigeria, and he did more focused music of this is going to be topical. We're going to talk about a bit of racism, a black man's struggle. Like, he channeled that album that way. And what they say is he sacrificed the Nigerian market. Like, I know the Nigerian and African market gives me money, but for this album, this is not for them. This is trying to tap into a wider audience to speak to the topics the world is talking about. And I feel like the only artist doing that in Uganda at the moment is Joshua. Like, that artist who is like, I know this will not be a very big hit on the radios back home. People will not be bumping to it.
The media won't write about
The media won't write about it, but I know where it can go, and I'm going to release it. And trust me,
It's a winning formula
like,
for
those
him.
are balls.
Yeah, true.
Those are balls.
All right, guys, as we near the main topical discussion today, I want us to lastly discuss the element of politics, particularly not the entire industry, but music. Because, of course, we all know a few years back when one of the artists chose to challenge the incumbent president for the top position in the land, very many artists followed suit, and next year is election year.
Yeah.
And today, with the by-election that just happened today in Kawempe, one of the artists is actually two artists, because also Council Nalukola is also an artist. He was a former singer artist. So we had Khalifa Aganaga as one of the contestants in the race. What does this mean for the industry? Very many artists or people in the arts industry, creative culture industry, out there
And
planning, you know, to how they will
Big
launch
Eye
their
already
bid.
has intentions.
And Professor Big Eye is already
Big Eye,
eyeing.
not Professor.
He's Professor Big Eye. As we know him from 2011 when he came
Where
with.
did he get his the title professor from?
Is
That's how
Chameleon
we
a
know-
doctor?
Starting
So,
with,
so I want us to talk about politics and music and what does that mean for our industry.
let me first talk about Big Eye. I think right now, before this moment, Big Eye was comfortable being called Professor Big Eye. I don't think he is. Right? because at a time when your senior six is still questionable, I don't think you'll feel happy people calling you Professor Big Eye.
But the man stepped.
I had him stammer through.
He doesn't even know the school that he went.
I had him stammer through a conversation of whether or not he has a senior six certificate.
The man dropped out of
So if
Makerere
there's
in
anything
first year.
stressing the man right now, I think Papula.
Let me-
To go to the topic, to the question that you posed, I think for artists right now, it is another money-making opportunity for some of them.
Actually, not only artists, since we are journalists, we should also talk about our fellow comrades in the media industry, because a couple of them are also taking the same route.
Yeah, I think it's for the artists and journalists, like you say, I think it's another opportunity to make.
It's another gig kind of
another
thing.
gig for them to make some money. Of course, after that, some of them, you know, they get lost musically. Some of them go back to their music and leave the politics. We saw the same in 2021. Big Eye in 2021 was on the other side.
Yes.
This time round is but now for reasons.
Just like King Saha 2016 was on the other side.
Yeah.
2021.
But King Saha 2011, was it 2011?
2016.
2016. That was purely music. It was a gig.
Yeah.
Now you get a feeling that he's more passionate about issues, because I don't think there is money where he is. There's a side where he is now. Yes. But for people like Big Eye, I think Big Eye is riding on what has happened in the past, that artists like Katolu Wama, we've seen
Dr. Hildeman.
Hildeman,
Judith Babidi,
yes, Judith Babidi, who somehow disappeared after a year of being
Geoffrey Lutaya.
So I think Big Eye is coming in that realm. That you know what, I think music aside, music
Akasente akarara.
so which I don't think will go his way. But for these other ones,
Media people.
for the journalists,
because Ranja, I was told musajja waffe Bula alina gy'ali okugira era essaawa yonna honorable Kyambadde wayagala okuddaawo musajja waffe ayinza oba wajja.
Bobby Wine awakened so many people, not only artists. Awakened everyone who feel like they have a name
Yes.
in a certain field.
And they can use it.
They can leverage that name to cross the other side.
Yes.
So most of these guys were journalists, Zambali, Bani. I think Bali Mulai knew
Babule.
Babule, but now I don't know if Bole is really
But
I've had Tafbi, I've had Simon of Bukede. I think whenever bageza hook riding anti nina okulinya and kolemo ekirala.
Yes.
Bossa n'omubuulira ebyakalulu.
But Andrew, specifically, I want to pose this to you. For an artist, ngari serious, musically active, ngari serious, would you advise them? Would it be a good decision to move away from active participation in the industry, or genderi more music? Because this is what I usually look at. I look at trending artists. I'll give you an example of an artist like Fikfameka or Shiba. On a good weekend, she can make the 40 million, all plus. They're all chameleon. Because you see, the question also was 2021 when Chameleon wanted to also move into elective politics. And then you question if it is about the money, like Regan you were saying. I feel this industry, when you're strategic and you're really good at your game, it actually earns more than those positions.
That's true. But the industry actually has a lot of money, but the money is not earned by the artists.
Okay.
So artists being broke even when they fill stadiums is a real thing. However, I wouldn't have a problem with an artist becoming a politician because I look at it as another job. It's just that in Uganda that divides your audience. Like of late, that will divide your audience. And then with Uganda, you cannot be so sure that you perform again because let's face it, Bobby Wine's last concert was in 2018. He has not been able.
In Busaba, right?
Yes.
Yeah, in Busaba. The Charenga show.
After
After
that,
that,
even when they banned him from
After that,
Yes.
after that show, he wasn't able to do a concert on Boxing Day, the annual show he used to do, and that was the death of that Boxing Day show.
Yes.
He has never done it again.
Awo musajja waffe
So
yeeriisa enkuuli ekiwaatule wali.
n'apostinga n'agamba n'ekiwatule kyalenga. So in Uganda, to be on the safe side, I think you need to let the music out until you feel like I've done the part.
So looking ahead, 2026, we've seen the effects in the past 5 years or 4 years after 2021, when a massive, section of artists chose to, some of them actively came and stood in various positions, but very many of them, the Sahas, Kabakos, chose to take sides, and others have also crossed to the yellow side, others to the red side. What does that mean for music moving forward after 2026?
I think, to my perspective, I think the music in that line, these people have spoiled the industry. The industry is dead. Because look at this scenario. A person will come out, young talent. They'll come and they bribe you and tell you ABCD. You will lose focus. You can start singing for the political party. Before you know it, you organize a concert. People will be like, no, I won't go there because ABCD. So it's more like it's not a political driven thing.
Yes.
And it has moved away from the entertainment sector now to focus mostly on politics.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know when Tubongana happened, something happened as well. One, it gave rise to Bobby Wine because he wasn't on that song, so it kind of built him up. Personally, I believe if that song didn't happen, maybe he would have come as an MP in 2021.
But he had something to leverage on.
Yeah, now he has something to leverage on. But then besides Bobby Wine, I think one of the best things that happened to Shiba and Winnie Nwaji was Tubonga Nawe. Because you remember when that moment was there where people were like, we are boycotting, artists were not so sure whether they should release music, and Shiba and Winnie Nwaji.
That is the 2016 where Shiba brings in Kwatako.
Yes.
That's the year Winnie Nwaji 2016 brings Musau.
Yeah.
And they all
took off. So I believe these artists, but even when you look at the artists that are likely going to be on the political trail, trust me, most of them have lived their part. Like, they've done their part on the industry. I don't think they still see a longer life as performing artists.
I agree, because some of them have even just got frustrated with the music. It's not really. Big Eye, for example. I don't think Big Eye, yes, he may be, I never got him up one can never pick up. And stuff like that, but I think he's also seeking refuge elsewhere. Yes. Which is why I say this is a money making thing. But to disagree with Nathan a bit, music will still thrive.
Because politics is just a period. It's just a season.
Yeah.
It's a short season, and
by mid-Jan or by this time
we shall be back to normal.
It's not something that I think will greatly affect music. People who want to do good music will continue to do music.
Okay.
After 2016, after 2021, we got Azawi, because Azawi came out around the same time, doing very good music. We have Chitaka now and a couple of other good musicians. Music will still thrive and continue to grow.
On that same point, Trigan, it's why I want us to draw our main discussion today, ladies and gentlemen. I believe all of you guys have reported about copyright, and today we are discussing copyright. Now, a week or so about a statement from the official handles of the government of Uganda came out, and the opening remarks on the statement read, President Museveni approves copyright management system for Ugandan artists. Now, guys, the statement ended with this system. Uganda's creative industry is set for a new era of professionalism and financial stability. Huge step forward for copyright protection and artist empowerment. I want to pick it from you guys. I believe you guys report entertainment, art, culture, and the creative industry. The discussion and talk around copyright has been around for the longest. I want to believe about 10 years. And it's not going away. And it's not going away. And in the recent past, the artists fronted the idea of wanting a copyright amendment. Of course, very many associations have come up. Of course, among those, the coming of the Uganda National Musicians Federation, led by their president, now senior presidential advisor.
He's still interim.
He's interim. Now presidential advisor for the creatives, Mr. Senior presidential advisor, the coming of the federation. And for him, the key issue at the forefront in his discussion and case has been the copyright amendment. Discussions have gone on, meetings have kept, artists have been engaged. And when a statement comes out and the idea of copyright amendment, where we all know where the address of amendments in terms of laws happens at the parliament, and then we see a document coming from the government of Uganda with pictures that were taken at another address, which is the State House. What does this mean for the artists? Is it point for celebration? Is it a step in the right direction? Are they being hoodwinked? Is the government just playing games with them? What exactly is it with this thing called copyright? Thank you. I pick it.
Okay. I think we need to take this back to the beginning. One, Uganda's copyright law, the original one we had, I think, was first passed in the 50s by the colonial masters, and it stayed there for years. So in around 2004, James Wasula, then of UPRS,
and the late speaker.
And the late speaker. James Wasula went to the late
Jacob
speaker,
Bolanya.
Jacob Bolanya, told him about copyright, and at that time,
Olanya being a
Olanya-
lawyer, he must
Olanya-
have picked a few things.
picked a few things, but things were not very, very clear. Then between that time, an artist from the north,
These are 20 years ago.
yeah,
we're
an
talking
artist
about.
from the north came and pitched camp at Olanya's home. You know, as an artist from your home comes,
His constituent.
yeah,
It's
his
important.
constituent comes and pitches camp. So when he talks to this artist, he learns that this guy has music. Music is playing back home, but for some reason, he's not really making a living. Then he starts connecting this guy's life to what Wasola told him.
Yes.
And that's how Olanya
picked
becomes like a champion
mover.
and a mover of the
bill.
copyright of the bill. He gets it passed in 2006, and that's the law we have at the moment. That's, of course,
The background.
the background in a nutshell. Starting, I think, when Karalwama died in 2023.
2022.
23.
23.
23, yeah.
23.
May 2023.
That time, at around that time, the talk about amending the copyright had
Started
been
shaping
around.
up.
But you see, there is something about copyright and Ugandan artists. One, most of them do not really understand what they want, and the people that have been selling copyright have been selling it as a fantasy. They sell it in a way that
To
when
excite.
this happens, you're going to be rich.
Yeah, true.
So
They are looking at
Actually,
richness.
very many of them have made statements. Nti ffe ekitubonyabonya ano tetulina copyright.
Yes.
Ensonga lwaki tuli baavu.
Yes.
But when you dig deep to understand even the revenue of whatever they are talking about, it is not one that will get any of them.
Yeah,
Range
so-
Rover.
so-
Tebakimanyi.
So the way it was sold was that when this happens, you're going to be rich. So every time someone tries to organize artists, there will be that one artist that will be like, but UPRS is taking our money, and the conversation will
focus
change. This current wave of copyright has gone through phases, but it had started on the night of Mr. Easy and Techno's concert. They came to Uganda 2017. They were both relatively new artists, and they had a good concert. Good concert by they got the
Numbers.
numbers. So most of the artists that were there, the local artists, were not happy. Because I remember Cindy performed on that show, and she had the audience buzzing only for the Nigerian and the two Nigerians to get on stage, and none of them could even do a complete set, because I think Techno halfway covered some songs from Nigeria, and Mr. Easy halfway covered songs from the US. So like they couldn't hold a concert together, but they had been paid a lot of money. So that's when Chameleon teams up with a couple of people, start teaming up with media to form Save Ugandan Music.
Douglas Wanga.
Douglas
I was told he
Wanga.
opened that group and was the group.
They form a group, they put there many media administrators, and media administrators were buying the idea. Until somewhere one of them said, "No copyright."
Led.
UPRS. Mumba centers are
And the entire conversation changed, and
People
before you
left the
know,
group.
People left the group.
Even the admin left the group.
Even the admin left the group. So that's where we are. The talk
Save-
of copyright has been changing.
Yeah. When you talk about the evolution of the conversation, I want to believe Save Ugandan Music is now later what birthed the Ugandan Musicians Association.
Yes.
And you see, when you look at that background, it doesn't worry when you get to understand that now the conversation is back with yet another body, which is the Musicians Federation,
Yes.
which has been having a scuffle with the Musicians Association.
Yeah.
Where does this leave the industry?
No, okay. Like, still, okay, not part of the background, but anyway, what Museven gave the artists was a copyright management system.
Yes.
When you look at the roles it has to do, one
Register musicians' works,
register,
track usage in bars,
Okay.
TVs, radios,
Ensure artists get paid
for plays, and music piracy.
So what the
Let's
president
tackle bit by bit.
Yes, but even if you're to look at all these things at the same time, what the president technically did is he handed artists UPRS by another name.
This ideally would be the work or the mandate of
Of
UPRS.
UPRS, yes, exactly.
Because UPRS has actually been doing this.
Yes, it has been collecting money from bars for music, for Ugandan music. that
Using
plays in
which
bars.
system?
Yes.
Yes.
And
Yes.
A few weeks back, it came out saying that they want to license these band covers
Yeah.
from playing.
So does UPRS, because this is a copyright management system that the president is talking about. So if we talk about ideally the president just renaming UPRS by whatever he meant in that statement, is there a system that UPRS is already using to deliver this kind of work?
One,
I think that they have, and they are affiliated to Uganda registration.
URSB.
Yeah,
yeah.
URSB.
I think they are affiliated the tracking records.
Okay.
So which I highly doubt with the management system.
Let's be serious. What expertise, technical expertise, does URSP have in tracking music?
none.
Because, and that is, but Kagawa's finished, because there's something I have to put across.
No.
You see, it's one of the challenges that artists or stakeholders in the industry have always had, that the industry has its mandates scattered everywhere. Because you realize, you see, part of the case is, and I don't know why it's actually not at the forefront, because their artists are often fronting copyright as their, immediate need, which I think it would be a fight, and is a fight to win if they first advocated for an independent ministry.
No one
With its
wins. No
own
one wins when
kinds
it
of-
comes to copyright. That's why I usually tell artists in Uganda when they talk about copyright a lot. Like when Palazzo said he would be so rich if copyright was working, because
Of
Happy
his birthday song.
gets
played
played a
every-
lot.
Every day someone was born,
And
they
I
play the
told
song.
him, Palazzo, Mariah Carey's Christmas album, like a full album, not even just one song, becomes #1 every year
Every
for
Christmas
the
period.
past 20-something years. And she's still performing, she's still touring, and she's not a billionaire. Like, what makes you believe
That you,
that you,
With your one song.
with
Played
your
in
one song,
Uganda.
that plays in Uganda.
that plays in Uganda, you would have retired. But when it goes back to tracking, when most of the things that are in this document, trust me, for a country like Uganda cannot work, because in Uganda we can track media. Song Boost is already doing that,
Yeah.
tracking how media is playing songs, because media works through airwaves.
Yes.
It's easy to track. Media, that's radio, that's TV. Now, when it comes to the bars would need like a sound print gadget.
Now, one thing about this document that amused me is that Uganda police will enforce the law.
Now that
Non-compliant businesses risk closure. Just imagine a hotel like Kampala Serena Hotel, with all the tax that is collected from that franchise.
Yes.
So you mean it can close because of not remitting a certain amount of money for an artist,
and trust me,
Over.
they're already paying.
and they're already paying.
So is it that this system is also indirectly giving these spaces other options that actually are not going to play in favor of our artists? Because I mean, these spaces might choose to play music of
International
artists
music.
outside Uganda.
That's a possibility, but again, when you look at saying police will enforce, let's face it, we've ever been in a situation where an artist wanted to organize a concert and they were like, we do not have enough personnel to employ at your concert. And we expect them to enforce this
countrywide
in
spaces like
the
bars,
in space like bars,
recreational centers, hotels, and okay, guys. Without diving so deep into the nitty-gritties of the document and the system, I want us to look at it from a very general point of view. One, is it a step in the right direction? Is that what artists needed from the president at this particular time?
I think no. First of all, I don't think so. One, because I don't think, to begin with, I don't think they even did any benchmarking.
Yeah.
Because if there was a little bit of benchmarking done on this,
Consultations
regionally and maybe on the continent and elsewhere, then they would have found out that there are better ways of achieving what is in that document
Yes.
than what they suggested.
So ideally finding working models,
Yes.
probably from countries like Kenya, because I believe the corporate kind of management system, all structure in Kenya is way beyond ours.
Yes.
Yeah. And mind you, Kenya tried a few of the things we are
From
trying
our
to propose
2006.
here. No, from what we are trying to propose here.
Yes.
And they backfired on them. They tried to create a lot of tariffs on DJs.
Meaning we're already doing something that has even failed to work in a
Yes.
certain sample space.
Because I think they tried that at the time, because Nameless was once a president of their collecting society.
Was once the Kens of that side.
No, the
Collective
president
society.
of like
Oh,
UPRS.
UPRS, yes.
And before Nameless came in, the president that was there was like, DJs are making a lot of money off artists. We are putting there this tariff. What they did not really think about at that time was that the DJs they were talking about were like 2% of the DJ population, which is kind of the same mistake we are making here. Like, bars should have gadgets to monitor the music they are playing, but the bars that can afford that gadget are like probably 1%. You're thinking about the Villa, you're thinking about
Silo.
But then there is a bar back home where I stay, which actually plays more local music than Silo.
Than the bars along Bandari Ride.
Yes. So when you force them to do things, they can react by not playing your music.
They have options.
Because in Kenya, DJs reacted like that.
And I think that contributed to the fall of their music
And
in the long
Nameless tells you to date, they are still struggling with that decision. Kenyans enjoy more Tanzanians and Nigerians than they enjoy Kenyans.
Eddie Kenzo, speaking about Eddie Kenzo as the presidential advisor for the creatives and also president of the federation, says that discussions like this where we probably speak, I don't want to say ill, but where we try to advise here and there in this management system, he says we are coming from a very uninformed view because ideally the money they are expecting from these spaces annually is very little. And he says if we want 200,000 from a bar like Silo or Thrones or La Villa, 200,000, that's just a percentage of one bottle that they can, sell to a client. That's very small money. And the big question is, if they are looking at 200,000 per this happening space, how will they divide or share this money for all these players in the music?
Which still is something I said earlier, that copyright was poorly sold in Uganda. It was sold like you get a lot of money. Truth is, because radios are already paying for the music they use, TVs are paying, hotels are paying, some bars, actually many bars in Kampala are already paying. And even bands. So what happens is when this money is collected, the easier way of distribution is by looking at the radio data, which at the moment I don't think we are doing because we only have Song Boost app that seems to be monitoring music, but it's not working for UPRS.
Yes.
they are doing their independent.
They failed
Because
to
UPRS, I was watching Shaka at some point, somewhere, at some platform, saying that Elijah Chitaka,
of Feza.
who initiated, who started
Song Boost.
at some point in the infant stages of that platform, reached out to UPRS to partner, and they didn't buy the idea up to this stage.
Ideal, I think at the time also UPRS was undergoing its internal challenges. And,
Who's the current president of UPRS?
there is a lady called
Current president?
Nasul.
UPRS.
No, it's Goyo.
No, Yoyo is the chairman of the board, but
Yeah.
but the CEO who runs the day-to-day activities in the
Because
institution.
I last heard about Anthony.
Anthony Mwenda.
Anthony
Mwenda left.
In funny circumstances.
Yeah.
No. Ideally, he was frustrated
Yes.
Yeah.
internally, and
He was.
he went for greener pastures.
But if I forget my point, Patrick, the things that I have issues with almost every line in that document. One, if you say that this system is going to help artists, because there's somewhere where the president says that this will help artists to know which radio station or which platform played.
which space played their music.
But with the methodology they want to use, placing a system, a device at a
In this
bar,
digital day and
in
age.
thank you so much. In this era where we're trying to digitize everything, how effective is that going to be? And now bars are required to pay a license of 1 million on top of having that device.
Yes.
And I suspect, I know that device is going to be the cost of the bar.
Yes.
Now you're adding more costs on the bar, which is giving them options now.
Yeah, because
You get?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
giving them options.
and the problem also is, for me, I believe some of the bars that they are trying to target, the high-end bars, actually play less of Ugandan music.
Yeah, that's
Exactly. So
If artists could use a sample space, and because today when you look at the most
Yes,
populated bars, now on a Thursday like this, if you went to Bandari
Yes.
in Bogolobi, all of the
Kololo.
Kololo,
Yeah.
and you just listen from whatever angle,
It is
you
like
realize
Amapiano from South Africa.
Amapiano,
Yeah,
Nigerian
Afrobeats.
music,
From Nigeria.
exactly. So they are ideally giving these spaces
They
more
are
options.
just putting them in the comfort zone of saying, okay, let's now
Yeah.
concentrate on what we have been playing
Yes.
and forget. But now there's another point in that document that now, okay, before I forget this, there's something that is confusing me, Ichilala. Are they tracking music played by the DJ in a bar? Because now, where does that leave cover bands? Because cover bands also play in these bars.
And
If
the
they
device cannot,
does the device-
because I want to believe the device is going to work like this online app called the Shazam, that
Yes.
it listens to
Picks the
set
songs,
codes.
okay, gets to know the artist and the song, then they record, okay, this bar played this song at this time, which is what, like Andrew said, Song Boost is doing already. For me,
Guys,
I think
And you see,
this should have been easier if, and this is why I think they didn't benchmark. Because if they had benchmark, there are systems that are there that can actually help you achieve this.
yes.
Get a publishing company, for example. Partner with that publishing company. That publishing company is going to help you track your music.
Yes.
Publishing companies or publishers work with collecting
Man-
societies
man-
of that country.
Yes.
You get so it is.
So ideally, they would have put out a call for people to, for companies or brands come and bid to do the job.
This is how I think this is likely to end. The people who pitch this thing to the powers that be are going to score financially or have already scored financially, and along the way.
So we are looking at the winners
this is just
now
a
and the
sensation
losers.
Yeah.
for some.
Yeah.
Because copyright, like we have said, has always that conversation. Whenever someone who gets near power gets there, that copyright conversation comes out.
So am I right when I say that these few people that pitched or reached to the powers that be sold their fellows? And two, is it that these ones who pitched to the powers that be
They
pitched the wrong things?
they
Solutions that are not
They needed a
working?
conversation. A conversation was needed at the
Yes.
time. Because if you look at the time Kenzo has been
in the leadership kind of
In the
space.
yes, he's been there for 2 years.
Yeah,
2
2
years.
2
years.
years, but nothing concrete had come.
So some
Yeah.
yes.
Yes, so
needed something.
they needed something to stamp his authority
Yes.
into his office, and this is something that was
Which gets me
handed
to
him.
the question of the government will. Is this all part of the politics thing that there is no government will, but the government
Of
wants
course,
to,
of course.
to hold artists
Of
into a
course.
certain kind of setting where they can manage
The
them?
government knows the people they are dealing with. They know the lot.
The power.
They know that artists are so confused. They are so disorganized.
Disorganized, yes.
So they bring things.
But at the same time, they know the power they have
Exactly.
when they are empowered.
Yes.
So they bring conversations to these artists. Ne beekubira omwo, ne kiggweerawo, and we move on.
Bwe bamala okuba ne baleetawo ekirala.
Ne baleeta
Like,
ekirala.
like I don't want to say there is no government will, because you see, you can only have a will or the lack of it when you understand what you're doing.
So the bigger problem is they
I
don't
don't even
understand.
think the government understands this whole copyright thing.
Patrick, to flash back a little to Regan's point about how this thing was done. When I was watching Koyo on some station,
Nkoyoyo, the chairman of UPRS.
he talked about how they would get, like he said, they need these cover bands, the bars, to have a music schedule. Like write the music that you guys are going to play or to perform on this on Saturday, and then if these people who want to like a request, yeah, you also add that. So in that way, I think that's a way of for them to track.
So-
But then
so
you
who's-
see the
who's going to do
dangers in
this?
that
That
is
is setting
you're
us
making
up
you're
to
making
get
the
us
band one. You're making the band. The band is already paid
Yeah.
to do this music, and then the bar is paying again for this music being played. So
That's
the bar is
double.
paying twice. They paid the artist, and I mean they paid the band, and they're paying
Band
for that
also-
song
band
being
also has
played
to pay.
again, which means the bar might react by cutting the money of the band, and the band will not be happy with that as well.
So the losers.
Leaves very many questions and less answers, ladies and gentlemen. But for today, I want us to keep it at that. But do not forget that we happen every Thursday, 6 p.m. on the 2 channels. That's the Connect for Culture Africa platform and the Artbeat, where we shall be joining every Thursday with the panel of arts journalists, seasoned and big at it. Very many stories to their names, their bylines. Ladies and gentlemen, don't miss us next week as we digest more conversations around the arts and culture bit. My name is Patrick Sentongo, and with the gentlemen, see you then.